Hi, this is Kay. Thank you for checking out today's podcast of Hanging with the Hayters. We want to give special thanks to our sponsor, Sonny Horn, with Leaders Financial Group. You can give him a call at 832-381-2515. Today is Wednesday, April the 12th, 2017, and you are listening to Hanging with the Hayters. We're hoping all of you out there are having a wonderful morning, that you didn't get washed away in the rain yesterday.
And one of our goals is not to ruin the morning for you, or the afternoon is what it is. I'm sorry, the afternoon for you. This is Mark, and of course my darling wife Kay over there, who introduced us. I'm trying to get this volume up a little bit. There we go, boys and girls. All right. Hey, Kay, speaking of this day in Dick, are we okay? So much better. I like it. Okay, I'm sorry, folks. We had some trouble, and as we always do.
I'd like to start over, but I don't think we can.
No, don't do that. Anyway, downtown, beautiful day, a lot of rain yesterday, and so many events going on, and some I'm involved in and don't understand. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. Right now, though, with respect to shout-outs, we've got Virginia Plyler, a good friend of ours who's got pneumonia, and she's in the hospital. And so this is our shout-out for her. Hey, Virginia, Oswald here. Yeah. She likes Oswald. I just made that up. I don't know.
I hope all of your IV lines are flowing and you're doing better.
And my nephew, Clint Hayter, 39 years old. This is, that one is second. Okay.
Is that better?
Okay.
All right.
I have no idea. Anyway.
We're having technical difficulties.
Technical troubles. Hey, look, Kay, we've only been doing this a year, so got to be having trouble.
All right.
Anyway, also, it's not a guest, it's just, we've got an audience today. My best buddy, Johnny Sutton's here. Johnny and I, and he's not going to say anything because he's, this may be the first time they've ever heard us right now. I don't know if the microphone's working. We're good. We've got a phone call, folks. I think we've him-hauled around just about long enough to where it's time for a phone call. I am so impressed. Caller, thank you so much for calling. This is Mark Hayes over there. Please tell us your name and what the heck you'd like to talk about.
Oh, I'm in a world of trouble. There, Mark. This here's Wayman Smoot.
Wayman Smoot. Oh man, in trouble this time. It's usually one of your family members that's in a lot of trouble. I'm sorry to hear this.
I need me a lawyer, an accountant, and a CPU all in one. What I need.
No CPU.
Oh my God. Tax day's coming.
And that's right.
Oh yes,
that's right.
Yes. And
3 days.
And these rules and regulations for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
They's a little stringent, I think.
I don't want to, pry too much. Wayman, I really didn't know you were an entrepreneur. What are you involved in?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I find stuff here and I sell it there, and I just go about my business finding stuff and selling it, but I ain't got no receipts.
Oh.
And,
yeah. I don't think you need to even be telling me that. In fact, you probably don't need to go live on the air telling people that, but that's interesting as heck.
Well, I won't tell anybody how to find me out there and cut and shoot.
Exactly.
But I do need that lawyer, accountant, and CPU just as quick as I can find one.
I hate to even bring it up, but isn't it CPA? I didn't know there's a CPU.
I didn't think I could afford a CPA, so I was going for a CPU.
Oh, I see.
I'm not sure what the difference is. But anyway, I got to be working on my taxes, and so if you hear of any professionals, you send them my way.
Okay. Well, if there's anybody out there that really wants a challenge, Wayman Smoot, I tell you what, get in touch with us here at the studio, and
we'll get
Wayman, we'll do what we can do.
There.
You betcha, buddy.
You're fine Americans and human beings to boot.
You betcha, buddy. And
best
you
of luck there, Wayman.
It wouldn't be. I'm not. I think it'd be a wise idea for you to start making some receipts just about now. Just a thought. If you are going to claim anything, anyway, that's what I would tell you from my experience. Anyway, Wayman, thanks so much,
you're
buddy.
A wise man. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, buddy.
Bye now.
Thanks a lot for calling, Wayman Smoot, ladies and gentlemen. He's a
He's our buddy out from cutting shoot.
Sometimes until he needs bail or something. I don't know. Anyway, Johnny Sutton, good friend of mine here from Johnny. I think it was second grade, if I recall. We went to Ritchie Elementary, and we were, I think, in the same second grade class. Johnny, he can't answer me right now, but I think that's second grade. Were we in third grade class together? Do you remember, Johnny? I don't think so. Anyway, but I got a picture of us in the second grade, little bitty me, and there's Johnny over there, little buzz head and all. It was really cute.
Did you have a buzz haircut too?
Oh, gosh, yes. And then I had the flat top that I never understood. You know, it's a buzz with you leave the front out, and you just plaster it with wax.
You glue it.
What did we call that? Butch wax or something?
Butch wax.
Just
I think
stupid.
that's it.
Anyway, we had that. And then, of course, we didn't go to junior high together, but we went to high school together. And anyway, things were I was, I think one of his groomsmen in his wedding was Dennis. Way back when. Went to college together. Just, anyway, great buddy. He's got stuff he could kill me, really do me some damage talking about. But, and I might be able to hurt him a little. I don't know. Anyway, Johnny, great to have you here, buddy. And speaking of here and now, there are so many events happening that have happened this date. And I'm going to plug one more time, Kay.
April 12th.
April 12th. I'm going to plug the Courier's section on Montgomery County's story of 125 years. So many things have been taking place over the years here in Conroe and other areas. By the way, April 12th, 1951. Johnny, is there a pretty dependable hardware store in Livingston area? Is it? Yeah, pretty good one. We've had one here for a long time. It's called Edwards and Brothers Hardware. It's not here anymore. I don't know the year it died, but
and I miss it. It was
the best place.
They had people that knew their stuff.
Yeah,
you could go in and they would make sure you got what you needed.
Yeah, I cried when it was a little more expensive than your Walmarts or whatever, but I could go to Home Depot today, or maybe say Lowe's, and Lowe's in Livingston, do you have them? Do y'all have trouble there with, oh my God, Johnny, I'm going to have to back. Anyway, the deal is in Lowe's, folks, I couldn't find anybody. I've been walking down an aisle before and just tried to make eye contact with the guy walking by me, and he just, looks up or something. And Home Depot's a little better, but Lowe's has a reputation. You can't walk into Everett's Hardware. Well, you can't now because they're out of business. But used to, I could walk in there and, right, can I help you? It's right out. And normally, I know what I'm looking for, but I appreciate it. And it bugs me. But son of a gun, those guys. I said, I'm trying to hook my wash machine. And I had a little a tube. And I said, I'm trying to get my wash machine to run outside, to discharge outside instead of my septic tank. And I need something to connect. He said, I see what you mean. And he walked down this aisle and he grabbed this piece and over here. And he screwed it all together and handed it to me. And I kissed him. No, I didn't kiss him, but I almost hugged the guy. The thing is, I would have been walking around not knowing, and it's like, I've done that before. Let me show you what you need. And, Everett's Hardware. Anyway, 1951, folks, is when they opened in there, just right around the corner, right off 105.
They were only about 2 blocks from our current location.
Of course, it used to be Everett's Brothers Food or something or other, and then they expanded in 1951 to be the hardware store. Anyway, see, I wouldn't have even remembered that had it not been here in the Courier in the major historic section. Also, this didn't happen in Conroe, but on April 12th of 1945, FDR passed away. And while getting his picture painted by this lovely artist, and anyway.
It was a female artist?
Yeah. And she did not, after she painted him, it was she hadn't finished the piece, and he was in his wheelchair. He was really in bad shape, and she didn't finish the painting. And right now, I think it's still hanging somewhere, unfinished. But after that, she painted another one where he's in the wheelchair, but he looks a lot better. Titanic, not 1912, but 1915. And Johnny remembers this. Sunk in 1915, 1912. He remembers it from the.
Older than us.
He remembers it from the movie, ladies and gentlemen. 2,224 people drowned, and it was leaving Nova Scotia, and it was drowned. It
left
sank
England
near Nova Scotia. That's exactly where it was. Movies have been made.
Halifax is where they brought a lot of the bodies that were picked up and
we went to Halifax. By the way, there are so many things I thought I would never live to see, and one was, of course, a colony on Venus, which I still haven't lived to see. But the other thing, ladies and gentlemen, was I didn't think I'd live to see the Soviet Union falling. I thought they would be here forever. I really did, and I thought there'd be nuclear war. And I didn't believe I'd ever be around when rap started, rap music. But the other thing was I didn't think I'd ever be around when they found the Titanic and, had it. Yeah. Yeah. Are they still talking about raising that son of a gun?
I haven't heard anything lately.
Raise the Titanic.
They've taken extensive videos of it. So
yeah.
Of the record.
Okay, here's something else that happened in Conroe, though. April 13th, 1916, ladies and gentlemen. There is an ice house. Just if you can, radio people, you can't see where I'm pointing,
Mark
but
I'm
pointing to where it is. It wasn't called the ice house. That's what I refer to it now. Dick Sparkle Ice House, whatever it was. But originally it was a Conroe Gin Ice and what was it? Lighthouse. It was called a Lighthouse. Anyway, and it opened in 1916, April the 13th. Right now, that building has no roof on it, and they've made it into a nice retro-looking place that I should know more about, and I don't. Anyway, that's it. And also, April 15th, 1951, KMCO, a radio station that no longer competes with you, Dick, started on the air. 1951, April 15th, out of the old Masonic building on Main Street, and Mary McCoy was one of their big acts, and she was only 12 years old. Now she's got her picture painted on a building right behind, and she's pointing famous over there. She's a famous woman, and that's true. Also, April 12th, 1981, I believe it was, the first space shuttle, manned space shuttle went up, the Columbia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. I was going to ask you to.
I kind of remember that.
And something else happened, and folks, what I did is my mom kept a diary that she never put her thoughts down. It's just things that happened that day. Yeah. And I've got a bunch of them, and you'd read them and say, this is boring as all get out. But here's what Mom wrote on April 12th, 2004. She died 2 years later. And she wrote this, and I don't know why I threw that in other than she died on the 15th of July, 2006. Anyway, she said she read Luke 6 that day. She's got it in the top. Luke 6, that was her chapter to read. And she said, made bread dough and fixed Swiss steak and stir-fried vegetables for lunch. Betty came and got a slack suit to take back for her. She got it for a return for her birthday, which was February 18th. Larry called at lunch, finished a book. She did, ate supper, went after the mail and got 3 books. Dennis and Ann brought Mark's article. Betty called, and Al called. Folks, we've got volumes of this kind of stuff, and that would sound boring to any normal person on the planet, I believe. But there's some things we read, so-and-so visited, and, I remember when Aunt Bertha visited and all, but I would have forgotten. And she's got all kinds of stuff like that. Also, what I've got, which I'll probably save you for unless we have time to spare, I've got an article I wrote back in last year, April 10th, which was, this last Sunday was April 10th. So in 2016, Sunday was on the same day. I don't understand that. It's rather frightening.
Probably has to do with February.
I'm thinking your leap years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, this one was titled, and I never title my articles, It Was a Good Week, and Now the Pet Parade is Tuesday. Fascinating. Who would not read that title and say, I have got to read that?
We may not have time to read that.
We may not have time for that. Anyway, fascinating. Something else that is eerie fascinating is we're going to have to take a break right now. And folks, we are going to get to talk to our financial guru, Sonny Horn with the Leaders Financial Group, and we're going to be talking to him right after this short break. Back in a minute.
Break time, people. Restrooms are in the foyer. Back in a couple of minutes.
Hello, I'm Sonny Horn with Leaders Financial Group. For 25 years, Leaders has developed a working relationship with each of our clients that aid us in providing them opportunities to retire sooner than they likely thought possible. Our success is attributed largely to our thoroughness in drawing up a workable financial plan for each client. Saving money is tough for most, so we all need to receive the best long-term results possible for our efforts. Leaders Financial Group has earned a reputation for providing greater peace of mind for those who too often feel they're hoping against hope in what seems to be a most complicated financial market. Our goal at Leaders is to provide a keen sense of hope and financial security for those who come to us seeking direction. The process is simple. Phone call even more so. I'm Sonny Horn. Give me a call at 832-381-2515, and we'll help you establish a financial future that'll be ready when you're ready to retire.
And I'm Mark Hayter. One of the clients at Sonny Horn has helped retire sooner than I thought possible. It's our trust in him that led Kay and I to choose Leaders Financial Group as our sponsor. Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, you are hanging with Hayters still. Mark Hayter, Kay's here. And ladies and gentlemen, we've got Sonny Horn, the owner representative of Leaders Financial Group, on the phone. Haven't talked to Sonny in over a month. Sonny, good to be able to talk to you, buddy. How's it going out there?
I thought you'd forgot about me.
No, Sonny, I tell you, no, I'm definitely, regardless, I know I'm in good hands somewhere. Hey, what's been going on with you lately? Anything?
Well, there's a lot of news out there lately.
There isn't there?
And people are concerned about how it might affect the market and what's going to happen. That's a $64,000 question, isn't it?
It really.
But I thought I'd share a few interesting statistics with you here today, other than my redundant financial planning message that I hit people with that I don't think they can hear enough. But,
well, Sonny, let me say this before you get started. There is no way it's not going to be more interesting than what I've been talking about up to now. You're going to knock us dead with this stuff. Let's hear these statistics.
Thank you, Mark. How are you, Kay?
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for always having me on. It's a pleasure, but appreciate it. But anyway, we know there's a lot of information on the tax code these days, and it may be revised. I thought this would be interesting to your listeners. Our current tax regulations contain over 10 million words. A publication that would take an individual reading 300 words a minute, the average reading speed for an adult, more than 23 days of nonstop reading to digest. Wow. So maybe we need to simplify something a little bit here.
Do you think? Sonny,
back to the market, though. Let's talk about that. The S&P, which is the broad market measure, ladies and gentlemen, of what the stock market does or doesn't do, but it's actually gained 6.1% in the first quarter this year, which is the fifth best opening quarter for the stock market over the last 25 years.
Goodness.
From 93 to 2017. I know things are up in the air a little bit in terms of the news and things that can adjust markets and correct them on a short-term basis. Just to reiterate just a little bit on that, the Standard & Poor's 500 index, and I don't want to talk in financial jargon to your listeners, but it just consists of the 500 largest, most profitable corporations in America. So that's as they go, so the market goes. So everyone's trying to beat that.
Yeah.
I'll take a breath. So go ahead and ask me something else, Mark.
One thing I wanted to I noticed that Kevin Brady, our representative here in Conroe, congressional representative. In fact, he's head of the
House and
thank you so
Ways
much.
and Means Committee. Yeah.
He mentions that he's working on getting the income tax form the size of a postcard. Is that practical, feasible, or would that help for the long haul? Do you think? Is that something to look forward to or something to fear?
I think that's some wonderful political rhetoric.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to happen, but certainly I think it could be it certainly could be simplified somewhat. Just to kind of expand on that, the heads of the America's largest corporations that are making up the market are invited to Washington, D.C. this last week, and although I'm not privy to what went on in that meeting, I would imagine that something that came up in there about what would make you guys happy in terms of keeping all the jobs here in America, as in lowering the taxes. So I'm sure that was reviewed to some extent. But I do think it's important to reach out, our government, to reach out to the business, because we've got to remember, where's our government getting money? Mm-hmm. Well, they have to get it from you and I, right? Yeah. And where are we going to get it? We need a job.
Right.
Yeah.
And so without that, the wheel pretty much stops spinning, so we need to keep money flowing. I just have a very optimistic view of things, and you and I have talked about this from time to time, but I think at least for the rest of this year, in my view, it looks positive. In terms of one other thing here, this bull market that we're in, mm-hmm. It started back in March of 2009, and we're now in our 98th month of pretty much positive returns. But the average bull market for the stock market, since going back all the way back to 1950, has lasted 61 months, as in 5 years. So are we over that? Yeah. Are we due for a correction? Yeah. But economic indicators, housing starts, consumer spending, interest rates, they seem to be positive. So, again, they all fuel my optimism for the immediate future.
Right. How large, and this is ridiculous to ask, I'm sure, but how large an indicator would you rate the stock market compared to these other things you're talking about, Standards and Poor's and others?
I think it's huge because it expresses the public sentiment in terms of how do they still believe in free enterprise? Do they still believe in capitalism? And then so whatever your view is in terms of government regulations or the lack thereof, it's a huge indicator. Stop me, and let me just point out something else there, Mark, if I could, again to your listeners. When markets go down, it doesn't mean that the companies that you're investing in that you have an ongoing systematic 401k at work or a 403b through the TRS system here in Texas, or however you're saving money systematically. It doesn't mean when markets corrected, all those companies you're putting money in, they didn't just all of a sudden start losing money.
Yeah.
Are they still making a profit? And the answer is in there. If they're in the S&P 500, yes, they are. They wouldn't be there. But fear and greed are overpowering emotions, and they very much control the market. Right now, I think there's fear is not pervasive, and that could change. But again, the market's a huge indicator.
Right. I tell you, and the other thing, and I don't mean to keep going on this, but right now when the talk of interest rates just marginally coming up, that's got to help. It helps in one area, it hurts in another, but with respect to savings and all, that's got to be something encouraging, I would think, for people.
Well, yeah, you say it could hurt in one area, help in the other. Yeah, it beats better than 0.5% on a money market account in the bank.
Who the sand?
But in terms of running a business, higher interest rates are never welcome because businesses are borrowing money to fund their inventories, to pay their employees. They're leveraged to some extent. And so if they have to pay more for the money, then that affects the profitability. So, but they're still at reasonable rates. I think given the history of interest rates, are still very reasonable at this point in terms of even buying a home too.
Better than we've seen in the early 80s and all, for sure. Anyway, Sonny, thank you so much for being with us today, for your wise comments here. We appreciate it. And second Wednesday in May, we will be talking to you again, young man.
The 15th, I think, isn't it?
That's what? Say that again.
Is it the
15th? I think okay. It's the second Wednesday, whichever, but it's... Anyway, all right, Sonny, thanks a bunch, buddy, and we will talk to you later. Sonny Horn, ladies and gentlemen, Leaders Financial Group.
Bye-bye.
What is that, 38281?
832-381-2515, and we'd be more than happy to answer your questions. And glad that you have us on, Mark. It's always a pleasure.
You bet, Sonny. Thank you much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're back here, and, Kay, I wanted to say that with respect to savings, it is one of those things where, and y'all know this, it's like you've got to consider it being one of your bills, be it your rent payment, your car payment, or whatever it is.
Right.
very important.
You pay yourself.
Kay and I have been in situations where, you can't consider it a bill because if you put your money in savings, somebody's going to come and take something from you. But, as much as you can, that's pretty important.
But not for a long time.
That's true. We've been very blessed. Okay. Kay, there are so many interesting news stories. We don't have time for much, but one thing I thought I would share right now, something I read earlier. Actually, earlier was yesterday, and I was bumfuzzled, flabbergasted. It's about the top 10 food producers in the world. There is I don't know if you could call 10 companies a monopoly, but when you're looking at the world, I think you could in the area of food. And I looked at this, and if you went down to H-E-B or Kroger today, and these 10 companies weren't doing what they were doing, I don't know what you'd see on the shelves.
The shelves
Probably
would be
nothing.
empty, huh?
Yeah. I'm going to start with the 10th most powerful right now.
Okay.
And I'm going to go up to the first. The 10th most powerful company right now is Kellogg. I thought they'd be number one. In food, I'm talking in food, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. I mean, they have cereals and all kinds of stuff. They got canned goods. They got Kellogg. They got everything. The 9th, I never even heard of. Association of British Foods. They have teas and stuff like that, like the British Tea Company, whatever they call it. General Mills is 8. I thought that would have been number 2 anyway. Cheerios, Chex, Betty Crocker, they own it all. 7, Dannon, as in yogurt. They got water, protein drinks everywhere. They're the 7th.
Okay.
And folks, I'm telling you, dozens of things besides what I'm naming here.
Right.
They've got, if you could see the deal. Another company, number 6, I never even heard of, Mondelez. They make Oreos, for heaven's sake, and Trident gum.
Well, I like that company.
And a billion other things. Yeah, they'll never go out of business. 5th most, more food and all. Number 5 is Mars, M&M's. They make Uncle Ben's rice and a billion other things. Number 4, Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Coca-Cola makes Coke and Sprite and all kinds of
stuff.
stuff.
They'd be number 1. But.
Yeah. Number 3, I never heard of, Unilever.
Unilever? Yeah.
Unilever, I'm sorry. Yeah. Lipton Tea. Hellman's Mayo is from there.
Right.
And they sound British to me. Number 2, I would have never guessed. Bigger than Coca-Cola, PepsiCo.
Really?
Is the second largest producer of food products in the world. They make Quaker Oats and Cheetos, which is the most valuable commodity.
Okay, now I understand.
Number 1, I would have never picked it. Just can't believe it to this day. Nestle's. It's called Nestle, but Nestle's.
Okay.
So, chocolate and everything. I mean, it's not chocolate. They own everything. And those companies, top 10, and it's a massive monopoly of food products. And occasionally you'll hear, oh my gosh, Dannon is going to buy out Mars or something. And that makes it even a bigger monopoly.
Deal.
Sheesh. Yeah. One thing else that's a big deal, Kay, is unless my watch is wrong, we've got our 12:30 break we've got to take. We need something about the weather and the highway situations and traffic. Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to let Dick take over for
Hang with Hayters.
Minutes.
Back in a minute.
Break time, people. Restrooms are in the foyer. Back in a couple of minutes with more Hanging with the Hayters.
Hello, I'm Sonny Horn with Leaders Financial Group. For 25 years, Leaders has developed a working relationship with each of our clients that aid us in providing them opportunities to retire sooner than they likely thought possible. Our success is attributed largely to our thoroughness in drawing up a workable financial plan for each client. Saving money is tough for most, so we all need to receive the best long-term results possible for our efforts. Leaders Financial Group has earned a reputation for providing greater peace of mind for those who too often feel they're hoping against hope in what seems to be a most complicated financial market. Our goal at Leaders is to provide a keen sense of hope and financial security for those who come to us seeking direction. The process is simple. Phone call even more so. I'm Sonny Horn. Give me a call at 832-381-2515, and we'll help you establish a financial future that'll be ready when you're ready to retire.
And I'm Mark Hayter. One of the clients at Sonny Horn has helped retire sooner than I thought possible. It's our trust in him that led Kay and I to choose Leaders Financial Group as our sponsor.
You're listening to Hanging with the Hayters with Mark and Kay on IRLoneStar.com. Punk.
And we are back with Hanging with the Hayters. Thank you for hanging with us this afternoon. Mark, the other day, I was sitting working on my computer, checking emails and stuff, and I had to do I forget what I was looking for on the internet, but I came across the fact that there's going to be a total eclipse of the sun on August the 21st this year that is going to go right across the middle of the United States, starting in Oregon, and it's going to kind of have a little serpentine shape, and it's going to come right across Tennessee and Missouri and exit out in South Carolina.
That is, Kay, I wrote an article about that Sunday, and it's coming out today in the Villager. And I said you found it in a travel magazine, but you're right, you found it on the internet.
I did. I was so excited.
This is one of the least publicized total eclipses I think I've ever heard.
Well, I think we're going to start hearing about it soon.
I think so.
On the media.
And how did you involve me in this? I don't even remember.
Well, you were taking a nap, so I decided that we needed to go see the total eclipse. I mean, we're going to get a partial eclipse here. Yeah. But I mean, to get to the actual total eclipse, it's drivable. We can get there.
Okay, it's 800 blooming miles in August.
So anyway, we're going to Tennessee in August, and we're going to see the total eclipse of
Sister
the sun.
Jill's
I
coming.
am excited.
Sister Jill's coming with us.
I've got to order the glasses, the special glasses. I think they're only like a couple of bucks.
Oh, really?
So.
Oh, yeah.
But
if we're going, we're definitely going to.
The funny thing is, the actual total eclipse part only lasts like 2 minutes and 41 seconds. So it's a bit of a trip for that.
800 miles.
But,
and you got to come back. You can't stay in Tennessee.
No.
We're going to be around Nashville.
No.
You could go to Missouri, but who wants I thought Nashville area was better than that.
So anyway, if anybody out there is interested in going and seeing it, you better start making plans and get on the internet and check out the path and pick your spot.
I had mentioned, Kay, that Carly Simon's song she's singing about somebody, Warren Beatty,
so
or
vain.
several others, Chris Christopherson, whoever, and she mentions whoever it was who's so vain, he won at a racetrack, and then he blew his winnings. He flew his winnings to Nova Scotia so he could see the total eclipse of the sun. And that, when I heard the total eclipse of the sun, I thought of Carly Simon, and I don't think she'll go with us.
Yeah.
My sister Jill's going with us, and I doubt seriously Johnny would go with us. But
Now, the interesting thing is that actually in 2024, there's going to be another total eclipse of the sun, and this one's going to be moving from kind of southwest to northeast, and it's going to go right across the middle of Texas.
Isn't
right
that something?
In central Texas.
It's going to be across Dallas. But
yes. But my argument is we may not be here in 2024.
That's 7 years.
So
yeah, 7 years from now.
We don't know.
I don't. And if I am, I'm not going to travel well. I don't travel real well right now. But anyway, that was fascinating stuff. Anyway, that is the total eclipse. And before I forget about this, Dick, I got to make mention. You mentioned earlier the May 5th to the 7th Music Festival, and I'm involved in the Legends, Rising Stars and Legends of Texas, and that's an arts thing, and I think one music venue, and you're involved in the radio broadcast at Owens, and there's a play, View from a Bridge, that the
there's a whole lot going on actually that day,
and it's not getting much, and I'm supposed to be an MC, and I don't understand much about it, which is...
You want me to explain it to you, Mark?
Please, Dick, please, if you don't mind.
It's Rising Stars and Legends of Texas. That's the official name. They're on Facebook. You can read more information there. Basically, from what I understood, is the Conroe Greater Conroe Arts Alliance wants to put on like a show, basically, that to show off all the art leagues and the arts and entertainment here in Conroe. So what they're doing is they're dedicating a day and a half to different organizations doing different things that they do best. So it's basically an all-day thing on Saturday, the 22nd, starting from noon till about 7, 8. And if you come downtown Conroe, all the venues will be open, and they'll be doing something. There's like a schedule. For example, the Players Theater Company over at the Owen Theater, we're doing live radio plays. One radio play will be at 2:30 to 3:30, and that will be Armadillo Chili with the kids from the Players Theater Company. There's a kids group. And then we're going to be doing Laundry and Bourbon, which is a one-act play at 7 p.m. with the Players Theater Company on stage at the Owen Theater. There will also be other things going on around town. There'll be vendors. It's basically, think of it as an arts festival, and if you want to come see poetry readings, if you want to They're going to be showing Denton Florian's Sam Houston movie. There'll be live music. Michael Player will be playing over at Heritage Place, and then Mary Sarah, who was on The Voice last season, the season before last, and then just stuff like that. So it's an all-day thing, but it just kind of gives examples of what the different arts are doing here in Conroe. Especially, it doesn't have to be performing arts either. There's the Conroe Art League will have all their art on display and things like that, and other organizations too.
April 22nd is the big day. Saturday is the big day.
Is the big day. It's free. That's the most important thing.
And
that's good to know.
They'll have food vendors, which probably won't be free, but in other words, you'll be able to eat in
all day
and stuff out there. And by the way, auditions for that Players
Theater Company's on it's tomorrow at 7 p.m.
Bourbon and
Laundry of Bourbon.
It's one of those things.
I would encourage Kay to check it out.
I do too. I would too, Kay. You've got a good voice. We'll have to look at the play.
Well, it's about 3 women. That's the only people in it. It's just 3 women. 2 of them are good friends, and they're folding laundry and drinking bourbon and talking about their lives.
Don't you think that should have been on the audition thing, only women? I mean, I was going to go there, and it's only women. Kay, I'll take you there if you'd like to go.
I'll think about it.
Anyway, that's and thank you so much. And
well, you also can be sound effects, Mark.
That's true. I apologize.
So, you can get you might have a lady's voice. We just don't know about it.
I got that down. Wayman
I have to pinch you before I hear the lady's voice come out.
There we go. We'll just have Kay pinch and Mark the whole show.
That is just
so. There you go, Mark.
One other question, and what's the legends part of it?
Really, what the whole theme is, the group basically assigned a theme, and it's Texas. So Rising Stars and Legends of Texas we're doing Rising Stars as in the people here in Texas who are rising. So like Mary Sarah and the actors and the painters. Right. And then Legends of Texas applies to the themes that we're trying to do a Texas theme. So for example, Laundry Bourbon is a Texas themed play.
Oh, okay.
And then the other things are going to have some type of Texas theme.
Yeah. That View from a Bridge by Arthur Miller, that can't be Texas.
I'm not really sure. What's really funny is when someone sets a thing of rules, everyone tries to find a way to bend them or break them.
Right.
So
that's true. But anyway, that is something big coming. And son of a gun, one of them's in the Owens Theater, and you can sit down and it'll be cool and all. I don't know what the temperature is going to be outside.
Wonderful
but that'd be
theater.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, that's something you can look forward to. Anyway, I wanted to get that off my chest. The other thing I wanted to make mention, there are several things, and one was kind of scary to me, but I never thought people would actually encourage this. But in Sweden, I read about and actually saw a picture of a new microchip that they're implanting in people who work for big businesses.
Employees,
yeah. And it's, Johnny and I were talking about the southern pine beetle earlier, and they're about half the size of a grain of rice. And as Johnny said, uncooked because they're small and there's not many of them around. But this thing, they said that they implant in you, they said it's the size of a grain of rice, and son of a gun, I saw it. The thing is thin and all, but it looked like about a half an inch to me. But they implant it into a person's area, that web right between your
thumb and forefinger?
In forefinger, which I call a pointer finger. But
I wouldn't
right
like
in there.
It right there.
I wouldn't either. But here's the deal. They say with that thing, once you get it in, and you're in this building, it can be attuned to your lock on your door. You can just swipe your hand across and the door unlocks.
Wave in front of the...
You can go to an ATM and just hold your hand up, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 you're in, You can go to a store and order and just put your hand up to the deal where you insert your credit card.
And then the next thing you'll find out is people are hacking it, so you're having to wear probably a special glove that will keep people from walking by you and stealing your info.
And Kay, how this happens a lot. I don't know how many times, but it happens a lot. Whenever the guy's has the briefcase
with the
chain,
handcuffs,
and they cut off his hand because they can't get the.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if somebody wants to steal your credit card? All they have to do is cut off your hand. Okay, think about that. Anyway, that's a problem. But I'm not making this stuff up. That is from Sweden, and they're getting it, and they say it's going to catch fire.
I do understand it's voluntary. You don't have to do
yes.
it. But most
voluntary.
people over there seem to be worried about it.
And you can hack phones. You can do so many things. People are going to be hacking your hand now, okay? And that's just not good. Anyway, that was one thing. Another thing I wanted to mention, and it's in the area of your brain. Talking about hacking your hand.
What brain?
Kay, anybody's brain.
I don't have one anymore.
There is something I never knew. Scientists have just found out, and they've shared it with me. And it has to do with the fact anytime something happens, like right now, we're remembering this place, it is actually being stored simultaneously into two parts of your brain. Your brain is making two copies of it. One is in your hippocampus. That's your short-term memory area.
Okay.
And the long-term memory is called your cortex. And right now, if you're listening to me, and this isn't on YouTube, I'm pointing right now to my head to where your hippocampus is and your cortex is. But that's where they are. And here's what they discovered. They first started this on rats. They took rats and they tested them, early in their life, and they made them go up and nuzzle this one place, put their nose on something, and it had an electric shock. It had food, but it had electric shock, and it shocked the daylights out of them. So after a while, they learned, it would have taken me 3-4 shocks. But it took them, and after a while, they said, holy cow, I'm not going anywhere near that. And so what they did is they managed to go in somehow, put an electrode or something into their brain, and they shut off their early memory. They shut off their long-term memory thing, and they say rats usually forget after about 3 days or something if you don't mess with it again. They shut off their long-term memory, and they went in and they tried to, and they couldn't even remember anything about being shocked. And so, that didn't do anything for them. They could touch it and wouldn't do anything. And then what they did, Kay, is they froze their short-term memory and lit up their long-term memory and went in there. And even though right before they wouldn't touch it, they then went in there and they saw it, and they were too scared to touch it because they remembered the shock. And it was fascinating. Then they found this one guy who had an injury, and he lost his short-term memory, just like in a movie with what's his name, where this guy had no short-term memory. He had to keep writing notes on his skin to remember what happened before.
He'd write it on his hand or his arm.
Who was that actor, Kay? Doesn't matter.
Well, Guy Pearce was in a movie where he did that.
Yeah, it was really far out. But anyway, and what they did, they found out this guy knew everything from the past. His cortex was remembering stuff from the past. His long-term memory was there, but his short-term memory wasn't. And after this and other research, they determined that whenever something happens, your brain is duplicating it like a copy machine. And your short-term, if it dies, your long-term's there. If your long-term dies, man.
Well, I'm glad I'm not a rat.
Fascinating is all get out. And folks, where else are you going to hear stuff like this? I can't even imagine. Another thing I learned is a guy by the name, and you're going to think I made this up. His name is John Goodenough. We know a guy by the name of Goodspeed, and Go Lightly, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
This is John.
Actually, Jill does.
Goodenough. Okay, that's right. Anyway, John Goodenough, when he was right out of the military, and at 23, he went to college. He said he wanted to be a physicist, and they said at 23 years old, you're really too old to even think about the studies. It's really deep. And so they wouldn't let him in, and he went somewhere else. And here's the deal. At the age of 57, this John Golightly, this is how old, 57, he's one of the co-inventors of the lithium battery. In 1980, he did this, him and this other guy. Anyway, they invented it, and since then, he has been realizing, man, this is a dangerous battery. They're exploding, they're doing weird things,
fire.
They're not good. What can I do about it? He kept studying, and finally, he located this professor, this Marie, I got her name down here, Botha, I think it was, Borga. I get them mixed up. Ooh, who's that?
It's all
Mexican
right.
actor?
Let it go. Move on.
Oh, I really liked her. Anyway, and she's still alive. Anyway, what they did is he looked and found out she actually invented this glass that can replace, this is something that does my head. It replaces liquid electrolytes in batteries. And no, I don't know what those are. But what it does is,
I didn't know they had that in
batteries. Who could have known? But he saw, it's a glass. And he contacted that lady and he said, would you come and work with me? And he's 94 years old. And just recently, he put in a patent for a battery that is a solid core battery. And there's no liquid, it's not lithium, and it's safe as all get out. It's light, and it's very cheap to make because of this special glass. 94 years old, this guy's still thinking. And with that people are saying, you're over the hill, 40 years old, nobody does patents and all. They're finding the average patent age is about 50 years old now. Older people are still there doing things. Yes, you have the occasional person who's a genius at 4 years old, like that Angus. What's his name? I was talking about the chess player. Johnny, you don't know the chess player Angus. Anyway, fascinating. Old people doing stuff. It's just wonderful. And the fact that what he's saying is this is going to the electric car industry soon. I've heard this so many times in my life. Oh, it's going to be great. But he's saying, yeah, we got the battery now.
Wow,
we just
that's
have
great.
To.
And I assume they will apply it to all these other.
I would think, yeah, get rid of the lithium.
Electronics.
The thing is, what he's done, though, he's got the patent. He hasn't started producing them, but the first thing you do before you produce them is get the dadgum patent straight. He's done that. 94 years old, he'll be dead before it takes effect. Fascinating stuff, Kay. Anyway, that is, oh my God, we're not going to have a break today, Kay, but we're going to.
Time is a-ticking.
And it's filled with swift transition also, Kay. Kay, you had a story, and I hate to get into a real bad story, but I think the world needs to know. You told me something you were watching on Caesar Milan about dogs.
Yes, I did not know. You know, he has his latest show. He's going around the country and visiting different cities and, you know, working with people when they have trouble with their dogs. And he also, in each town, if there's a particular rescue group or whatever, he will go out and meet with them. And this last week, he met with a guy out in California, and he's actually rescuing dogs from Asian dog meat markets. I mean, I knew that the dog was eaten over there, but what I didn't know is that in that culture, they think the dog meat will taste better if the dog has suffered. So they will beat on them, they will amputate, cut off a paw. And anyway, this young man out in California, and he cried when they interviewed him but he's been going over there, and they've rescued, I don't know, hundreds of dogs. And so many of them, they've had to finish amputating the leg because you can't just, let a dog walk around without a paw.
Isn't that some?
But anyway, it's very, very sickening. But apparently he's beginning to make progress over there because people are, coming to the surface, and people are finding out about what's going on behind the scenes. And so hopefully, I'd never heard of that. I'd never heard that. And I just think people need to know.
I hadn't either. And, in some cultures, you've got your rhinoceros tusk and your, all kinds of shark fins that are supposed to be an aphrodisiac or some kind. And, you hear stuff like that. So that's kind of bizarre and, no evidence that it's true. And now the thought that there's a culture that says if you torture this animal, its meat is better. It tastes better.
What's strange about that is there are some people who believe, like, for example, lobsters, is it's better to kill them instantly because if you boil them alive, they'll tense up and their meat will be basically tighter.
Son of a gun.
So those folks believe, they're doing it the wrong way.
They are. They're doing it backwards. Yeah. I never thought of that, throwing the lobster.
Oh, I could. I've never done it. I don't think I could.
Well, they just suggest you just slice it in the head. Yeah. Just real quick. And that way the meat's looser and it's not in pain. In a sense.
I was reading this other guy, and we've got to move along, who was saying that human culture is so bizarre in the fact that we can justify animals and killing and eating, which, is understandable, but it's because our story is we're superior. They have no feelings or they have no anything. And, you can talk to people about whenever you're around these cows that are headed for the slaughterhouse, that there is a sense of doom that they realize. And anyway, Kay, we need to boost this up a little bit. Your story about your hair, please, if you don't mind. We don't have much time. Story. Please.
Yeah, we
forget the animal.
We always, it's kind of like the news. We want to end on an up note.
Yeah.
And anyway, I was just thinking about when Mark and I were first married, and it was back in the early 70s, and, guys had long hair, girls had long hair, and I did. I had very long hair.
It's beautiful.
And but Farrah Fawcett came out in Charlie's Angels, and she had this kind of I don't remember, they used to have a certain name for the cut, but it was a shag, and it was kind of curly. And anyway, so after we've been married less than a year, I decided I didn't want to have to deal with all this long hair. But I don't have curly hair, so I said, well, I'll just go get that layered cut, and I'll get a permanent. So I did. And I cried all the way home. Yeah. And I cried some more when Mark got home from work.
And there was this boy at church, Virginia Plyler, who's got the pneumonia now. Her son was 3 years old, Michael Plyler, and he loved Kay. We'd be in church, and he'd always want to sit by Kay. She cut her hair, and she came to church the next day, and he looked up at, I mean, not the next day, but whenever he looked up at her, and he just kind of cried, and he walked away. His relationship was gone with Kay. Oh.
Well, I mean, he's like my nephew. He calls me Aunt Kay.
That's true.
And he loves me.
Exactly. But then he really loved you. You were his girlfriend, I think. Hair, ladies and gentlemen, it means a lot to a lot of people, and mine's gone. Folks, I'd like to thank again Johnny Sutton for just being here with us. It means a whole lot to me. And Sonny Horn, thank you so much. And Wayman Smoot, what would we do without you? Thank you so much. Hanging with Hayters, ladies and gentlemen, next week. Fascinating stuff.
Thanks for checking out this recording from Lone Star Community Radio. Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's community radio station and broadcasted live from Conroe, Texas on irlonestar.com and Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. Interested in sponsoring this show, being a guest, hosting your own show? And please visit us online at irlonestar.com and check out the Contact Us page. We want to say thank you to our studio supporters. Our traffic sponsor, Conroe Americana Music Festival at conroeamericanamusicfestival.com. For more information about the show, please check out the information below in the description.